ladies and gentlemen, our upcoming speaker is a thought leader in multi-cloud transformation with 24 plus years of experience in business development, pre-sales, client engagement, and delivery management. He has advised more than 35 Fortune 500 companies on multi-cloud transformation strategy and delivered 60 plus system integration programs. He is currently serving as the Executive Director and Global Delivery Leader for CIO Advisory, Digital Modernization and Cloud Transformation Practice at IBM Pune. And today, at the DOIS 20, he is going to share his ideas on DevSecOps, paving the way for digital reinvention. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, as coming to your screens right now is none other than Mr. Biswajit Mohapatra.
Good day all, this is Biswajit Mohapatra. I lead IBM Cloud Migration Factory. I'm an IBM partner who is responsible for driving cloud transformation for my global clients. Today I'm going to talk about DevSecOps, paving the way for digital reinvention. How exactly DevSecOps is driving our clients' digital transformation agenda. I'll be talking about some of our process, method, and tools that enables DevSecOps consulting as well as DevSecOps implementation for our customers. Before I talk about DevSecOps, what exactly is digital reinvention? As we all know, change is the only constant. The world is becoming more intelligent, more interconnected, and more instrumented. Everything is changing around us as we speak. That's giving rise to an opportunity for all of us to think differently, to act differently, and to behave differently. Change is, as I said, known to all of us. From the days of locomotives to aeroplanes to computers to internet and today's AI, ML, blockchain, 5G, edge computing, whatnot basically. But the only essence that is changing here is the change, the pace of change that was there several years back has really accelerated manifold today. So that means we need to be really tuned up to address that speed of change as we address the challenges and opportunities in coming days. How do we really do that? Today, if you look at the computing power available for two practitioners sitting on the Starbucks, it's exactly same as the computing power probably that you can avail within an enterprise. So this is completely democratized. And to address that democratization, how exactly we could focus on digital reinvention and try to build the digital reinvention journey is probably very key for every organization's survival. And in the same time, people who are not embracing, organizations who are not embracing digital reinvention journey will slowly be pushed into land of irrelevance. So the entire dynamics is changing. The new business paradigm is all about creating new business models, delivering new age of work, and bringing in new expertise. How do I really create actionable insights? How do I bring in responsive operations? How do I do market activation? End of the day, talent is very important, right? How I as an organization could bring in those relentless talent and build those orchestrated ecosystem, that's going to drive the agenda for digital reinvention from today as well as going forward from here. The modern business disruption and new business paradigm, as we all know, is very much driven by technology. Enterprises must respond to those disruptions and reinvent themselves to digitally thrive in the digital era. And businesses are rebuilding around experiences. Customer experience reshaped by IT is going to be the DNA for the digital reinvention journey from here. So businesses has to be today focusing on providing very much integrated solutions. They need to focus on fast, agile, and responsive operations. It has to be customer focused, and we need to really break those silos and operate on a very undepartmentalized way of operating so that we can reap the benefits of entire ecosystem within the organization as well as from the partners, right? And there are awareness of emerging and changing landscapes that we all as enterprises, we all as professionals really need to be aware of. So what is the common denominator? When we talk about this digital reinvention, we talk about digital transformation, what is the common denominator? We all know cloud is becoming the new normal, and we are entering into 2.0 of cloud today. And if you really look at everything connected, everything being really very much orchestrated, it's driven by nothing but DevOps, right? So DevOps is becoming the new denominator for us today. It's facilitating customer user experience in a very compelling value proposition. It's creating interface between businesses and ITs to get it right at the first time. In the same time, DevOps is implementing fast and flexible operational processes to bring together efficiently the whole end-to-end journey, the whole end-to-end story. That's why DevOps is going to play a very critical role when we drive end-to-end customers' digital transformation journey. And cloud augmented by DevOps, whether you are doing cloud consulting, you are advising clients in creating cloud transformation roadmaps, or once you do the cloud assessment, whether you are migrating workloads to cloud or modernizing workloads to cloud or building cloud native applications or managing and running applications on the cloud environment. In all these environments, as you see, DevOps is going to play a very foundation role, and it's going to be a foundation service that is integral part of your entire client's cloud transformation journey. So in a nutshell, if I put it, probably my idea will be cloud and DevOps together is going to be the ticket to digital reinvention. But is that enough? Probably not. DevOps is not enough in today's context, because security in every cloud transformation journey is going to play a very critical role. Be it availability of the applications, be it integrity of the applications. We really need to think about repercussion of security breaches if you are building a very secure cloud-enabled application, right? We all know all the histories around the reputation losses, the financial losses, intellectual property losses, various legal actions, cyber laws, loss of customer confidence, as well as business interruption costs, basically, right? So all these kind of driven by security not really being implemented correctly, security not being taken as the first step towards the transformation journey. And as we all know, security has always been considered as an afterthought. We all started our careers probably as a application developer some point of time, maybe several years back. If I really look back to the down memory lane to all of you, we all know that when we do the coding, when we start developing the code, when we start building applications, how many of us at that point of time really thought about the code that we are building is really secure, the code that we are building is really futuristic, and it is not going to be associated with any of those security breaches, loss of customer confidence, or business interruption costs that probably I am talking about, right? Probably not, right? It has been always considered as an afterthought. But those days are over. Today, if we are really transforming our applications to cloud, if we are really enabling clients on their digital transformation journey, probably security has to be an integral part of every step of the DevOps end-to-end implementation, starting from your vision to realization of the product or vision to the realization of your application, right? From your concept to realization, security is going to be an integral part of at every step of your DevOps transformation and DevOps implementation journey. So our key focus is going to be accelerating digital reinvention with DevSecOps. But then the question is, how do we really do it? We all understand that security is important. Completely creating a DevSecOps pipeline is going to help our clients in their overall transformation journey. But how do we do it? How do we really accelerate it, right? I'm going to throw you an idea and a framework that could enable you in terms of talking about how we can enable our clients in their digital transformation journey, right? So there are various features, there are various pillars, and there are various values. So when we talk about various pillars and we plan to implement digital transformation for our clients leveraging DevSecOps, we really need to be agile enough to do that. We need to have integrated and intelligent operations. Security, as we talked about, is going to be the key aspects of the entire transformation journey. Key features we need to look at. You have to have a squad-based delivery model where you have integrated teams instead of operating on the silos. This is my development team, this is my security team, or this is my operations team. It has to be an integrated team, and you need to have a squad-based delivery model so that you can co-create, co-execute, and cooperate your entire transformation in a more seamless fashion, which has a greater predictability to deliver value to your client. Obviously, we need to look at automated DevOps pipeline. How do we optimize those DevOps pipeline, the entire value stream mapping? We need to implement zero trust security, various policy-driven cognitive securities that we really need to look into as part of this journey. Then we need to have a very efficient, integrated, and holistic approach as we implement this solution. And we all know, like if you really look at Gartner's third degree matrix, we have been moving from the first degree to second degree to third degree matrix. When I talk about first degree matrix, it was probably in the 90s and between 1990 to 2000, where people are more focused around labor arbitrage, right? $2 versus $20. That game is kind of over. It's no longer valid today. In the same time, if you really talk about the second degree matrix, it was more about having quality credentials, CMMI credentials, or ISO credentials. That's probably is not the game that you can play today to really help your clients become successful. So the third degree matrix is all about process innovation and technology innovation. And today, enterprises or system integrators, those who are going to provide those process innovation and technology innovation capabilities to their clients are going to be successful and really be recognized as true partner for their clients. So continuous innovation is the key, and that's going to be the connecting glue between each of those pillars that I'm talking about. Cognitive automation. So we need to really move into a stage where we could embed cognitive automation into our entire DevSecOps pipeline. Site reliability engineering, where you start shifting towards left. Think about bringing system thinking into your entire operations and have an integrated way of operations through site reliability engineers. And obviously, you need to have a sound practice and implementation of service management practices and principles based on certain telemetry, certain process method and tools that can help you to become successful on your overall DevSecOps journey. So what I'm trying to highlight here is that balancing faster software lifecycle, security by design, and efficiency needs a very disciplined step-by-step approach, step-by-step methodology that can help radically transform the approach of software development and help our clients achieve their transformation objectives. So we need to really look at a very step-by-step guided approach, guided methodology, starting from your co-creation stage, starting to your co-execution stage and your cooperation stage, so that we are working with the customers and walking the talk while delivering those digital transformation initiatives for our clients. Okay, so what does really DevSecOps look like, right? I'm going to talk about quickly a methodology where you start with planning, then from planning you go to code and build, you test, then you release, deploy and decommission, and then you start operating and monitoring your entire implementation life cycle, right? When I'm implementing DevSecOps, of course, my aim is to develop and deploy very securely. So I have to plan for my threat modeling and risk analysis as part of my planning stage. I need to keep track of my security backlog, and I need to focus on my architecture and design so that from the very beginning itself, my entire DevSecOps implementation architecture is very, very secure. When I move to the code and build stage, we have to deploy a secure application code. There are tools available today that can help you to identify whether your codes are secured or not. But security has to be a mindset. Security has to be a culture. So it has to be an integral part of your code and build stage, as I talked earlier. Then we need to focus on secure infrastructure configuration, various OSS and COTS application validations. When I move to the testing stage, there will be internal quality assurance as well as external quality assurance. So there should be focus around internal and external testing. The assurance has to be really a very continuous process. Basically, as you move along in this journey, you need to really build into your approach, build into your methodology so that you have a very continuous approach of DevSecOps testing and implementation, right? And of course, periodically you have to do those phase gates. You need to do the compliance checking as you move ahead on your implementation journey. As part of release, deploy, and decommission, we definitely need to define continuous component control, application and infrastructure in orchestration, and of course, data being the key, data being the new natural resource. We need to really define how do I extract transformation load, how do I do data cleansing, how do I ensure my data quality is maintained, and of course, at the end of the day, how do I really define certain purging mechanisms and define a data retention approach so that I am in a position to recover the data at the time when it's required. Operation and monitoring. So, of course, there are a lot of visualization tools available, a lot of telemetry tools available that we could make use of. And then it has to be a respond and recover mechanism where you are in a position to respond as well as recover in the time of need. And more likely, probably, if you can really talk about observability as well as chaos engineering practices and principles, how exactly you could identify the behavior of the system, how could you predict the behavior of the system before anything really happens so that you can take some remedial measures is also going to be an integral part of your overall DevSecOps implementation principles. Right? So as part of the transformation and implementation of DevSecOps, I am recommending a 4E framework that I have been practicing. The 4 E's are engage, embark, embed, and enhance. Right? So at the very start of your client's transformation journey, you need to really engage with your client. Workshops, which is basically design thinking driven, where you talk to your clients, very lightweight workshop, basically containing high-level advisory of DevSecOps best practices, measuring at what stage your clients are today in their DevSecOps journey and what are the areas they need to focus on so that they can get some quick wins immediately and what is going to be their long-term objective, right? So that DevSecOps design thinking workshop at the engagement stage is very key for success of the entire DevSecOps implementation. Of course, you need to do a DevSecOps strategy, create a roadmap as part of your advisory engagement where you identify and develop the overall overarching DevSecOps strategy for the organization. When I talk about embark, so once you have the roadmap ready, you need to really embark into the journey. So you need a framework. You need to define and design the target step framework for the client, and that should touch upon all the 3 P's: people, process, and products. And since it's a cultural transformation as well, you need to focus on how you can break the organization silos, how can you completely culturally transform the organization, taking a very step-by-step and guided approach. When you talk about embed, as part of DevSecOps implementation, this is your real implementation stage, right? At implementation of a DevSecOps design, of course, it's going to talk about people, process, and technology again. And so plan for it. Leverage various tools. I have seen from my experience, a lot of people really think DevSecOps means it's all about tools, right? And there are plenty of tools available on the market, right? And one caution and one best practice is probably from my end that I can really highlight for all of you is that do not really jump into a tool. Tool is not the answer to your business problem. Tool is not the answer to your client's business problem, basically, right? So tool is basically an enabler. First, create the strategy, identify the bottlenecks, identify what value you are going to deliver to your client, and then probably you could find a right fit tool to probably accelerate some of those implementation journey instead of directly jumping into the tool and without really knowing how exactly you can use those tool outputs subsequently, right? So that's probably a word of caution from my end. I've seen many clients, for the sake of implementing DevSecOps, they jump into a tool and then they wonder how do we really use the output that's coming out of the tool, basically, right? Then secure container management solutions with the all microservices and breaking the monoliths, strangling the monoliths, and building microservices, containerizing in your entire application in the cloud world. There are best practices for the implementation, best practices for security practices and tools that we really need to take into account when we are moving from a large monolithic, let's say, legacy COBOL, natural, or PL1 application to something which is new age, maybe min stack running on cloud, right? So you need to really think about your security posture, security practices, and the tools that you need to really embed as part of your overall transformation journey, right? The last one, where you enhance once the entire application is running in the cloud now, DevSecOps is implemented. How do you really measure, monitor, track the performance, right? How do you really figure out that the vision, the value that you expected at the start of your concept is really getting realized at the end of the implementation? And how do you improvise on that basically through continuous monitoring, continuous tracking, continuous optimization, and continuous feedback? That's going to be a key, continuous learning as well, right? So that's going to be a key part of your overall enhancement states, right? So I'll quickly talk about the reference architecture here, right? So obviously we know that development, build, test, and compliance, but what exactly you need to really do as part of your reference architecture? You need to have a sound governance established. You need to have risk and compliance alignment. Obviously the alignment of people and culture there, right? As part of your development phase, maybe you need to focus on OSS scanning, abuse case testing, right? So that's part of your create application stage. In build, you need to really look at various configuration inspections, security and acceptance testing, right? You need to test at the test stage various common abuse test cases, right? And the compliance, you can focus on if you're building a containerized application, what is your container compliance, penetration testing, various standards and regulations that you need to really look at. So starting from your container registry to source code repository, image repository, how do you really make everything secure before you really go ahead and do the cutover and start maintaining the applications in a run and managed stage there, right? Obviously, you need to consider various codes, catalogs, infrastructure, orchestration techniques, right? You need to create, if you're creating containers, you need to focus on threat modeling, various code quality scanning mechanisms, maybe static as well as dynamic code quality scanning. If you have minified code, how do you really treat those as overall implementation mechanism? Various identity and access management, security acceptance testing, as I talked about, right? And obviously various standard regulations and image compliance mechanisms that also needs to be part of your reference architecture to drive the right results, to drive the right benefits of your overall DevSecOps implementation. As I talked about, there are multiple tools available. Don't get carried away by the tools. There are tools for continuous business planning, tools for continuous collaboration, continuous integration, continuous build, right? Continuous test, continuous deploy. So so your focus should be, you need to really focus on implementing DevSecOps for a shared, dedicated, hybrid, and cloud-native environment, and you could plug and play the tools based on the needs. So we talked about this. So again, the word of caution is that do not really jump into the tool without having the right strategy and right workshop with your client to identify what is the need and how can you deliver right value to your client in the entire journey. Various measurements for DevSecOps, various KPIs and insight, right? Whether it's related to observability, traceability, confidence, compliance, and reliability. Those are the parameters you need to really look at. What is the current application health that you are building in terms of changeability, in terms of manageability, in terms of maintainability of the application, right? The complexity, right? All those things really you need to look at. And your progress to measure is going to be how can you improve the CI/CD performance, improve the quality of the application. Is there any architecture change required that you need to take into account? In the cultural part, how can I eliminate the silos? How can I have shared responsibility built into the overall implementation? And obviously the big thing is about, do we have a continuous feedback and continuous learning process embedded into my implementation mechanism so that I improve as we move along in this journey, basically. Agree upon certain success criteria, deliver those success criteria, and build upon that on a very periodic, granular manner, MVP by MVP. It's going to be your key focus area, right? And of course, eliminating bottlenecks and waste, reducing the technical depths. Those are going to be also key as part of your delivery pipeline, right? Some of the meaningful metrics for the business. What are the new features for users you are integrating? What are the user story volume for release, availability, performance, security? In fact, all the elites of the world, availability, changeability, manageability, reliability, everything you need to really measure, monitor as part of your telemetry. Metrics meaningful to IT delivery. So what is basically maintenance versus innovation ratio, story points and historical velocity, your own value and planned value, measurements, right? And time to secure patching, those things you need to really look at. And in terms of compliance metrics, though since we are kind of making the application in cloud extremely secured and driving extreme security there, the time to compliance, percentage of audits passed, number of corrective measures post audits, number of predictive detections of security vulnerabilities, those are going to be your key metrics as part of your DevSecOps journey. Yeah, so if, we talked about the process, we talked about the methods, we talked about the tools, and of course the culture and the people. So if you really connect these dots in terms of aligning your people to right method, right processes, and equipping them to drive DevSecOps implementations with the right set of tools, like the toolbox that probably everyone should have, that could really pave the way for digital transformation for DevSecOps journey. So instead of driving for the sake of implementing DevSecOps and getting some tools and start monitoring and measuring some metrics, my suggestion will be really to move up the value chain, work with the clients as a true partner, identify the strategy, identify the implement areas, and take a very step-by-step guided approach with some agreed success criteria and deliver on that, and then build upon. That will truly enable your clients on their digital reinvention journey and will truly establish you as a true consultant, true partner for your clients to help their businesses successful and thereby making you successful as a professional, as an organization. Yeah, so that's all probably what I wanted to share with you today. Thanks for being patient to hear me, and I'll be happy to take any questions if you have at this point of time. Thank you very much.